up on Tech News today, some scary details about Microsoft giving data to the NSA. Plus, Eric Schmidt says Apple and Google are both really, really great. And buying Bitcoins has never been easier as long as you can give them some of your personal information. All that and more coming up.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CashFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Friday, July 12th, 2013. Tech News Today is brought to you by Gazelle, the fast and simple way to sell your used gadgets. Find out what your used Samsung Galaxy, iPhone, and other smartphones are worth at Gazelle.com. Welcome to Tech News Today. I'm Sarah Lane.
I'm Darren Kitchen.
I'm Justin Robert Young.
And I'm Jason Howell.
And this is not a test. This is actually happening. Today, it turns out that Tom Merritt is on his last day of vacation. I, as actor, took a day of vacation. I said, sure, I can handle the show. And then I thought, no, actually, I can't at all. I need to bring in some big guns. So we got Darren as usual on Friday.
Darren will be Tom.
I will be
sitting in
Tom.
Tom's seat.
Yes.
Playing the part of Tom
Yes.
today
Yes.
is Darren Kitchen.
And
Playing the part of Ayaz
I'll be
today
filling the
is Justin
hirstute
Robert Young.
quotient
Perfect.
here on Tech News Today.
I hope you're up
And
on
the
your
facial
legal
hair.
jargon because that's what Ayaz does for us. We
Yeah.
always say, Ayaz, you know a lot about copyright. What's this all about?
I can't guarantee that it will be in any way accurate, but I will be happy to yammer on.
Accuracy,
Excellent.
schmaccuracy.
Well, it's a fun little Bizarro show today, so thanks for joining me, everybody. And let's get right into the top 10 stories of the day in the News Fuse. Want to know what specific ways Microsoft handled their cooperation with the NSA's controversial PRISM program? According to documents provided by Edward Snowden, pretty much all of them. Specifically, Microsoft allegedly helped the NSA circumvent Outlook.com encryption, nearly tripled the amount of voice calls captured through then new acquisition Skype. The Guardian also reports that tech executives are lobbying the government so that they can come clean with users about the project.
Who needs a $500 million marketing budget when you can drum up press for free? The as-yet unofficially announced Motorola Moto X was likely spotted in the hands of Google's Eric Schmidt at the Allen & Company conference in Sun Valley, Idaho. Pictures on Engadget show Schmidt holding the white Motorola device with a, quote, carbon fiber back and sleek curves. The look of the device allegedly resembles preliminary Moto X plans submitted to the FCC for approval.
Well, who could be more uncarrier? Well, hot off the heels of T-Mobile's customer-friendly announcement this week, Sprint has gone ahead and raced with alerts to its customers that for $80 a month, they can have unlimited data forever until they die or until Sprint dies. I don't know why people are dying here, but the carrier will charge an extra $10 if you decide to turn your phone into a hotspot. It's kind of a bummer.
Hey, shut up and ship. That's the motto of Microsoft when it comes to Windows Phone, according to The Verge. The attitude means a new, albeit minor, Windows Phone 8 update is imminent. So expect fixes for HTML5 and Internet Explorer, Skype stability, and Gmail support. So why have all these issues lingered so long? Because the team has been hard at work on a major update codenamed Blue, which won't come until 2014.
Already an American success story, Twitter is looking to expand their global reach by sending 3 top executives abroad. Paris, Singapore, and Dublin are the likely landing spots for the currently San Francisco-based execs. But like Batman, who had to learn how to become more than just a man in the foothills of the Himalayas before returning to Gotham as the Cape Crusader, All Things D's Mike Isaac speculates that Twitter might be using these 3 assignments as a proving ground for later promotions.
Verizon could face up to $14 billion in unsold iPhone purchase commitments in 2013 if a report by Bloomberg is correct. Now, this stems from a deal Verizon made to carry the smartphone, and under a multi-year deal signed with Apple in 2010, Verizon Wireless is obligated to buy $23.5 billion worth of iPhones in 2013 alone. This could leave them with a shortfall of up to $14 billion with a B. one of those.
Ooh. Microsoft is planning to cut the price of its Surface RT tablet, say sources familiar with the company plans, and may happen as early as next week, with each model being cut by $150. Microsoft also recently launched an education program to sell the Surface RT to schools at $199, and it's been clearing its stock of devices at its Tech Ed and worldwide partner conferences recently.
Twitter is relenting in turning over user data on anti-Semitic tweets to French authorities. Tweets including a hashtag that translates to "the only good Jew is a dead Jew" were taken down after being published last October. Twitter was then compelled by the French court to turn over the user data for those tweets in January, and after dragging their feet, were hit by a $50 million lawsuit. For their part, Twitter says that the information should end any further disputes, although they are quote-unquote disappointed the government compelled them to do it.
AT&T and Verizon have tried but failed to block French telecoms regulator ARCEP from examining their secret interconnection agreements. The ARCEP worries that little tiffs between bandwidth providers and ISPs may erode the quality of popular web services for French consumers. A specific case involves subscribers of the ISP Free getting bad performance on YouTube. Another case in the U.S. between ISP Verizon and bandwidth provider Cogent Communications is believed to have been downgrading Netflix performance for Verizon's customers.
Congrats to Foxconn. They posted revenue of $30 billion in the second quarter of 2013, chalking up a 0.6% increase over the same period last year. It's not a huge boost, but it's above expectations of over 13 analysts in a Bloomberg compilation, and it may hint that Foxconn's efforts to reduce its reliance on Apple may be working out. Foxconn's most widely known as Apple's largest supplier, but Apple has been diversifying its supply chain and outsourcing parts of its iPhone and iPad production to another manufacturer, Pegatron.
This episode of Tech News Today is sponsored by Gazelle. If you want a new gadget, maybe you're eyeing that Galaxy S4, the iPhone, whatever it's going to be called, or there's a new tablet that just it's going to seem so much better than the tablet you've got. Before you go ahead and upgrade, make sure you sell your used gadget or phone to Gazelle for cash. Find out how much you can get at Gazelle.com today. Makes it really, really simple because all you do is just go to Gazelle, Gazelle.com, enter in, you got an iPhone 5, 64 gigabyte, it's in pretty good shape. Your Gazelle offer, look at that, $350. $350. You get paid in cash or by PayPal by Gazelle, or if you want an extra 5%, you can go ahead and get it in the form of an Amazon gift card. Gazelle's also taking back a bunch of tablets too. So if you've got a tablet, maybe it's a Samsung tablet or Google Nexus, Kindle Fire. It's just not the right tablet. You've got your eye on something else, or maybe you don't want a tablet at all. Gazelle doesn't care. Gazelle just wants to take your used gadgets in whatever condition they're in, whether they're brand spanking new or they're all sorts of scratched up, or maybe they don't even work. They'll even wipe your data for you for free shipping as well. Gazelle locks in the quote it gives you, by the way, for 30 days. So you've got 30 days to go ahead and get your stuff to Gazelle, but get that quote today because, as you know, your gadgets won't gain in value. They'll lose if you wait too long. So go to Gazelle.com now to get an offer for that Samsung, the iPhone, HTC, BlackBerry, iPad, any product. Do it today, though, because those gadgets may lose value every day that you wait. It's easy, free shipping, fast process, and you get paid for the stuff you're not even using, so you can get the stuff you really want. Go to Gazelle.com today, and we thank Gazelle for sponsoring this episode of Tech News Today. Well, what's becoming a regular event here on Friday, we've got Len Peralta, internet cartoonist, joining us to be drawing the discussion stories of the day as we go through them. Hello, Len.
Hello, Sarah. How you doing?
Really
Hello,
well.
Justin and Darren. Nice to see you as well.
Hi, Lenny.
Hey.
I'm going to be drawing the top tech news. This is going to be a lot of fun.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. It's awesome to have you. Everyone's really starting to look forward to all of your drawings, so we'll see what you come up with today. Let's start off with how Microsoft and the NSA have been, working together quite a bit. According to top secret documents given to The Guardian by Edward Snowden, Microsoft worked with U.S. intelligence services to allow users' communications to be intercepted in quite a few ways. Specifically, Microsoft helped the NSA bypass encryption to intercept web chats on the new Outlook.com portal. But that's not all. The agency already had pre-encryption stage access to email on Outlook.com, including Hotmail. Microsoft worked with the FBI to give the NSA easier access via Prism to its cloud storage service SkyDrive. The company worked with FBI's Data Intercept Unit to understand potential issues with a feature on Outlook.com that allows users to create email aliases. The list goes on. Last July, the NSA noted new capability had tripled the amount of Skype video calls being collected through Prism, and material collected through Prism is routinely shared with the FBI and the CIA, with one NSA document describing the program as a team sport. So Microsoft certainly isn't alone here, but this is somewhat damning evidence. What do we think of all of this? Is this sort of like, yeah, we're going to see these details emerge for other companies as well, or does Microsoft seem like a particularly NSA-friendly case?
Well, in terms of what details we are going to learn, it seems more relevant to how long Edward Snowden is drinking vending machine borscht out of the
Right.
Russian airport. You know, these seem to be available the longer this situation goes on. If he had asylum somewhere, who knows if that affects how this information gets disseminated. But privacy-wise, you can't help but have this continue to be hammered home and have things that guys like Darren Kitchen have been saying for as long as Darren Kitchen has been a thing, that these are really, really serious issues, and they are deeper and more plugged into the root level of what we do than we really ever imagine. And what drives it home are the details.
Right. And, the details in this case are such that a proprietary U.S. software company that manufactures the most popular operating system that everybody runs here in the United States, including our government and many other governments around the world, has no moral qualms whatsoever when it comes to handing over pre-crypto messages. And that's the thing that's the most damning, I feel like, is the idea that, we're going to offer consumers the illusion of security with the ability to do, encrypted chats and things of that nature, but then we're going to have a side door for the NSA. And that is damning, not just for Microsoft, but anybody else in this space that tries to say, we would like to provide consumers with privacy-enabling features, because now how is anyone going to trust, a service provider to not have these kind of side doors? And this is why I'm such an advocate of, things like GPG and open standards and open source. And this is just damning to any of these cloud service providers.
Microsoft said in a statement, of course, in response to a lot of freak out about this, quote, when we upgrade or update products, we aren't absolved from the need to comply with existing or future lawful demands. The company reiterated its argument. It provides customer data only in response to government demands. We only ever comply with orders for requests about specific accounts or identifiers. Microsoft joins a growing list of companies who say we'd like to be able to give the public a little bit more information about what we're sharing with the NSA so that they're not drawing conclusions that may be worse than what we're intending. A statement from the NSA, Sean Turner, spokesperson, the director of national intelligence, and Judith Emmel, spokeswoman for the NSA, said, this was a joint statement, the article describes court-ordered surveillance and a U.S. company's efforts to comply with these legally mandated requirements. So is this really a matter of Microsoft has no choice here? It's just that it was not relayed transparently enough to the public.
No, Microsoft has a choice. I mean, for example, Twitter, when they were asked by the NSA to provide these kinds of channels, they were as little compliant as humanly possible, and when working in the letter of the law, as much as the NSA, I'm sure, would love to say, so you like being that big government contractor, don't you? There are, what I'm trying to say is that it's a case of how compliant they want to be. And this is far and away like a scary kind of compliant. This is bending over.
As much as you said that Twitter has been reluctant to do it, I have no faith that we have any kind of full picture from anybody. And we've repeatedly seen that a lot of these tech executives are saying off the record and trying to get the message out that we would love to talk about this. But A, we were compelled to do it, and B, we can't talk about it. Well, so anything that anybody says I don't trust right now, and I don't think that from the messages we are getting from these off-the-record sources that I should trust them.
No, you can't. And that's the thing is the FISA court, when it says, hey, you now have to do this because those are the rules and we made them. They also say you can't disclose, under perjury, that this even exists. So, there's a reason why when all of this kind of blew up, everyone had the same line.
Yeah.
And that's going to continue. And so what you're saying is, if you don't trust anyone, well, okay, sure, take privacy into your own hands.
Well, I'm saying now. Like, if they're saying that we did X, Y, and Z, and this was legally mandated, and we only did this when it was supposed to happen, I don't trust that. Because I think that there is compelling evidence even out there now to say that these companies would like to discuss more of what they were compelled to do.
Well,
I think
absolutely.
the larger question is, what do details like this do to free online services provided by companies like Apple, Google, Microsoft, and Twitter? Does this in any way erode the nature of our relationship that we enter into for these services?
It definitely erodes trust in a place where you're trying to conduct free commerce, and these corporations are just trying to make a buck, and they can't when people suddenly can't trust them because the NSA put them in a difficult situation, and that's a true bummer.
It'll also be interesting to see how much. These are information about companies seeming to be strategically leaked to The Guardian after some time has passed. Edward Snowden seeking asylum in Russia. At least, that was the report on my commute up here this morning. Story changes quite a bit. Russia says
he's now seeking asylum in Russia?
Yeah, Russia says that might be possible, but you have to stop leaking stuff. But how much is already leaked to The Guardian already? So it's hard to say.
I say just put out a huge PGP volume, get yourself some security if you haven't already.
All right, well, let's move on to something that might be good news if you're looking for an RT tablet and you always thought that they were too expensive.
That's right. The Verge is reporting that Microsoft's Surface RT tablets prices are actually set to be cut by about $150. The prices are confirmed actually by a Staples promotional ad with the ranging from $350 for the 32 gig Surface RT and $550 for the 64 gig Surface RT with the touch cover. And this is following, slow sales of these devices. An analyst from UBS AG reported, that Microsoft ordered some 3 million Surface RT devices with, by March, only 900,000 being sold. You contrast that with Apple selling nearly 23 million iPads in the same time frame. And this price drop is, following indications of an updated Surface RT and a Surface Pro from Microsoft's Worldwide Partner Conference earlier this week. Bloomberg's also reporting that last month, a refresh of the Surface RT line will most likely contain a Qualcomm Snapdragon 800 processor that would replace the existing NVIDIA Tegra 3 chipset that they've got in there. And there's also rumors like The Verge asserting that new accessories would be on the way, like a battery-equipped keyboard cover and things of that nature. But, and all I know is just that Microsoft hasn't, commented on the fact that the Surface RT is subsidized by the NSA.
Just in case you were really looking for another reason to get in bed with Microsoft, ladies and gentlemen.
We'll pay you. This is a really great tablet.
I say make it free.
Keep that internet connection
Pay for it with your
on.
privacy.
Yeah.
Well, what do you guys think? Is the Surface RT tablets did not go over well. This was not the huge selling
Aside from all those
hotcake.
break dancers dancing to the dubstep,
Right,
clicking their things.
It simply wasn't enough.
No.
I don't know. This doesn't. I am not surprised that Microsoft is like, I don't know, let's slash the prices and see what we can sell. I just don't know. I don't know how many more they're going to move, even with price cuts.
Well, they're making a big push in the education market, trying to basically, give them away, get them into schools, and that's novel and
but that's not a financial. Right. Unless you move into education in a massive kind of way and you're securing contracts, but even then you're doing it at a discounted price. It's not the way that you say, finally, the success of the Surface RT tablet.
They're also giving them away at TechNet events to, Microsoft partners and, sysadmins that go to those. So, they're getting rid of them.
Exactly. Yeah. They are no longer sitting somewhere else. They are now going to be collecting dust in somebody else's
that'll look better
apartment.
at the end of the product life cycle when you can say, see, look, we don't have a warehouse full of them.
So now we are relying in the same way that a magician can prove that he did something well. It is no longer here, and therefore it is a success.
Yeah, I think the idea of the Surface RT tablets being a hit in schools would be beneficial to Microsoft in a long-term strategy where it's like, oh, you get a kid hooked on the Microsoft experience, and then they'll be a customer for life. But recently in the LA County schools, which is the largest school district in the nation behind New York, the whole school system put a investment down of, I can't remember exactly how many millions of dollars on iPads, so that presumably in the next few years, everybody in that entire district of LA County will have iPads. And at the time, Microsoft had said, that's a really bad idea.
Yeah.
You don't want kids to just have one kind of OS on tablets. And the district said, well, no, that's what we're going to do, actually. So it seems like it's still a losing battle for Microsoft to get into schools as it is, certainly giving them away at conferences and schools. That's all fine and good, but I just don't know what this says for the future of RT on tablets at all.
Well, I just think that Microsoft should partner with the NSA to produce a free tablet. It could be an iPad killer. In fact, you could call it the Prism Pad. Sign me up.
And I almost feel like this is unfairly kind of picking on Microsoft, not necessarily just because the information that we have now is Microsoft's involvement with Prism, but tomorrow it could be Apple or Google or, there's all these major companies worked with the Prism program. So
Sure.
In terms of the RT, to me, this kind of dovetails with the news story that you guys talked about yesterday on the show, where Microsoft wants to bring one clear kind of vision amongst all of their divisions. And the Surface RT seems like a product that from the very beginning was just kind of muddled. We didn't really know exactly who it was for or why they were, it didn't have a clear consumer message.
Yeah.
And I feel like it still doesn't, and that's why it's really
the Pro
cheap.
does. I mean, in fact, in March it was reported that out of the 3 million, 1.5 million were sold, and of that, 400,000 were the Pros. So I'd say that they've got something there because at least
But
know.
that makes the RT
hey, this
even
is like a
weirder
laptop.
because it was like the RT was the first thing that consumers got their hands on, and people were like, well, there are some limitations here. And then you've got the Surface Pro, and people go, oh, this is much better. The heck do we need
Why
that
did
first?
you sell this crippled version of what is an
that's
otherwise
the reason why if you walk
enjoyable
into
product?
it's the same reason why if you walk into a fast food joint, they're going to have a small soft drink next to the large soft drink, and it's going to be 10 cents cheaper.
But
If you're not going to buy it, it's going to sell the large soft drink.
True, but that's an expensive small soft drink to produce.
It kind of is.
All right, well, let's move on to, you mentioned Google and Apple. Apparently, they are getting along better than ever.
Oh, man, they love each other.
BFFs.
Things happen, Sarah,
Yeah.
under the sun of Idaho. All these tech executives, thank you, Jason. All these tech executives are getting together at the Allen & Company conference in Sun Valley, Idaho.
Very exclusive event.
Very exclusive event.
I
Away
was not
from
invited.
prying eyes. I'm sure we are only years away from Alex Jones saying it's where the Illuminati is giving their marching orders. But apparently, among the attendees, Eric Schmidt, Tim Cook of Apple, and Eric Schmidt says, hey, everything's fine with Google and Apple. We're actually becoming closer and closer. There have been a lot of meetings recently. Of course, Schmidt was never really the one to carry the grudge as much as Steve Jobs did.
Right.
Schmidt used to be on the Apple board. When Android came out, there was a huge acrimonious split. They left the board. The lawsuits began. Schmidt says these are two proud, well-run, different companies, and that it has been through further communication that they are becoming closer and closer.
Well, I think Eric Schmidt is in a pretty good position right now. I mean, Google is strong. Google is. I mean, even a couple of years ago, I think that the perception of Google as a company and where they're going was not as exciting as it is now. So it's easy to say things like this when you're not on the defensive. I'm not necessarily saying that back then Eric Schmidt was on the defensive more, but there was a little bit of a, yeah, there's bad blood between these two companies. Eric Schmidt is off of any insider meetings where Apple decisions could be made.
Yeah.
They're direct competitors. I mean, use the Maps debacle as a great example of Google being like, yeah, we got a good product. Apple couldn't even touch this.
Yeah.
That's a well-run company, though, and we respect them a lot.
True, but it's funny you brought up Maps because a lot of the things that were really just blatant sticks in the eye, like when Google provided the information for the native Apple Maps program and wouldn't give them things like the turn-by-turn navigations and stuff like that. Now that's kind of worked itself out. Google has their own iOS-based Maps application that does the things that the Android app does. So it seems like naturally we are kind of getting to a point where it is beneficial in a very mature smartphone market for both of these companies to work more together because they can both gain something from one another. And to me, it's always been in Google's best interest to work with Apple, specifically with iOS, because Google, at its heart, is an information services company that wants as much information to come into their system and their ecosystem as possible. And iOS is obviously a massive place for them to do it.
Absolutely.
Darren's like, what he said.
Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly. You're right.
So do you think the thermonuclear war is over? No?
No. But it's just
Apple
a
doesn't have
hiatus.
to, in the memory of great man Jobs, spend all $40 million in the bank as he said that he would to destroy Android because it's stolen product.
It does seem a lot of this, the hatchet is, well, that's a weird. I was getting down a bit of a rat hole there, but
maybe not buried, maybe loosely. There's some dirt.
Yeah, exactly.
Dust is settling on the hatchet.
It seems like there was a real personal issue with executives between the two companies, and maybe that is waning somewhat. It's nice to see that they're working together and having a good time in Sun Valley, Idaho. But I'd like to see.
Says Schmidt.
Schmidt.
It's not like him and Tim Cook came out high-fiving and, doing the house party hand jive handshake, you know.
Dual smartphone partnership coming this fall. No, that did not happen. All right, let's move on to a little bit of a Bitcoin story that might make it easier for someone like me who finds the whole thing very confusing to buy myself my very own Bitcoin.
That's right. You should get yourself a collection of Bitcoin, You should get like a rock
the whole set.
garden and some Bitcoins to go with
They're like
it.
Pogs.
Can we do customizable and collectible Bitcoins?
I think we should. Absolutely. No, they just
Remember
got
the
easier.
Wizard of Oz with this special Bitcoin.
See, Sarah, you can get them so much easier now. You don't have to, go to some website and, meet someone in person in some back alley and trade some cash. I mean, you could still do that if you want.
Does that really have Bitcoins?
You can, yeah.
to
There's
trade
there's services where you can meet people in person to buy Bitcoin and cash. It's great. But no, the wallet service Coinbase just added this new feature to buy up to 50 coins instantly. It's pretty cool. The feature is only available for verified accounts, and you can still connect your U.S. bank account to Coinbase and make purchases. But with this, you can purchase up to 50 instantly if you have a level 2 account. Now that means that involves a identification verification step. Level 1 accounts can also purchase up to 50 Bitcoin without identification verification, but they have to wait 4 business days. And if you previously had a level 2 business or level 2 preferred account, you've just been bumped down. You're now a level 1 account, so you have to go through that verification step. That's something where they check your credit report and ask you questions like, where did you live in 2007? Don't you
Isn't
love
this
those
supposed to be
multiple choice?
easier?
I was going to say, I have no idea how to buy a Bitcoin after having you explain it to me step by step.
Go to Coinbase.
Okay.
Create an account.
All right.
Follow the little thingies.
Verify it.
Verify your, give them your social security number. They'll use that to verify your credit report.
Sure.
And then boom, 50 Bitcoins in your pocket.
Well,
But
in
not
your
for
digital
free.
pocket.
No, you got to pay cash.
You have to
You
pay
gotta-
you gotta
money
pay. Yeah.
after you give them your social
In
security.
that's
hopes
just to
that the
verify
value
that
of your
you're
Bitcoins
verified.
will rise, and then you can, it's the whole.
Darren, does this sound hilariously stupid to you?
No, it's smart because
Who are these people? Not to get all Seinfeldian. Who are these people selling you Bitcoins?
Just people that need Bitcoins. It's like, why not? I mean,
So we're going to trust them with your social security number?
I gave my social over to PayPal because they send me 1099Ks. And then I, use that to pay my taxes because I love our government. And they have the shiniest shoes.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly comes down to whether or not Coinbase is something that you trust.
Yes.
They're another Bitcoin wallet. I mean, you can run your own, using the open source software. You can run it on your own machine, Linux, Windows, whatever. And you can, mine your own Bitcoin that way if you want to collect Bitcoin without having to send your social security number to an online wallet service.
But that's time and energy consuming, and most people are like,
get the black
I
lung.
don't know how to do that.
If your hat is of the gray or variety, it's what we call fun.
That too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. /configure, sudo make, lots of Googling, make.
Well, so what? They're obviously getting something off of this transaction, or they wouldn't care. The whole idea of like it's making it easier to buy a Bitcoin than ever. If you're not into that whole how Bitcoins work thing, you just can use this transaction model to buy Bitcoins. But they wouldn't do that for no reason.
So Bitcoins obviously are very, very in vogue. And as
Yes.
as things deteriorate in certain countries, we've seen them become more and more of a actual legitimate way for people to keep funds independent from banks. But let's just say theoretically, you are somebody, as you mentioned before, a hat. Although you have a fine black leather hat, I guess metaphorically it is more of the gray persuasion. If you were going to steal Social Security numbers, would this not seem like an interesting way to steal Social Security numbers, to be a front for selling Bitcoins and asking people to verify themselves?
Yeah, sure, you could set up a phishing site and pose to be a Bitcoin authority, but I mean, Coinbase has a reputation on the line, and you can actually look up their Dun & Bradstreet and all that other stuff. So, I trust them about as much as I trust Mt. Gox. That is to say, if I'm going to have some Bitcoin, I'm going to mine it. But that's just me.
So maybe that's the moral of the story.
But if you're lazy, you can have Bitcoins
you're lazy,
after you've
here's the way to
verified
do
your identity.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's me.
I'll tell you what,
convenience is king.
I don't know if that is the motto that you want to go on. We're as trustworthy as Mt. Gox. Coinbase.
No, it's like you can trust us. We're the government.
Sure, exactly.
We're in your best interest. We work for you. Well, Bitcoin may be in vogue, but what isn't in vogue, and that's paper magazines.
Yeah, PC World is no more if you are talking about the paper version.
But Vogue still is. Just making sure. Because
Yes.
we came off the Vogue thing, and I want to make
totally
sure.
fine with glossy pages.
Good deal.
Or PC World rather.
Not so much.
In Vogue, the band, not around.
Yeah,
anymore.
The bummer.
It didn't work out well. For
Although
them.
maybe, I don't know. Are they still playing? Maybe they're in a state fair somewhere.
Hard to say.
PC World, however, definitely gone in terms of the paper version. It ends after over 30 years as a magazine and represents the last of the major PC interest magazines to go the way of the dodo in terms of their print edition. If you have the most recent version, it is going to be the one you want to throw into a bag because it will be the last one ever. The newsroom, meanwhile, will, and this is, I think, is great news, will focus more on online, which is obviously where everything is going. And cheers to the publishers of PC World because they are doing this transition without laying anybody off.
Wow.
Which is really, I think, and who knows how many layoffs came between when the decline of print display advertising began and where we are now. But it is not the worst news in the world if nobody's losing their job today after this announcement.
It's been a long time since I bought a tech-focused magazine off of a newsstand rack somewhere. But yeah, I mean, PC World was certainly one of the top 5 that I would ever have considered buying or looking through. And in the old days of Tech TV when I worked there, everybody always had one of these lying around, and you'd look up server prices and things like that when you needed to make a quote. So it all seems very archaic now, but at the same time, it's interesting that there's just isn't a need anymore, especially for this kind of material. I mean, maybe Consumer Reports still needs some sort of a print version, if you want to buy a refrigerator or something, but PC World, I mean, who wants the PC World physical magazine?
In a way, it's kind of amazing that it lasted until 2013. I mean, a lot of these magazines, I mean, it shows you that it was a well-run company on some level to continue to be able to make that worth its while. But, this is where, and again, PC World is not dead, right?
No,
They're still there, and then they are probably stronger and more dynamic today than they were yesterday without a big printing cost as an albatross around their neck financially. But, I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm really not at all nostalgic about when things like these shutter. Coming from a newspaper journalism background, newsrooms are what matter to me. They are keeping their newsroom. They are better for it.
Well, yes, and that's important that, the news is not going to change. However, the display medium, and there's something really beautiful about a well laid out magazine.
Yes.
Wired used to be a good example of this. And so that is going to be missed. I just hope that going forward, they're proactive about keeping the, legacy by, I don't know, somehow exporting their stuff over to archive.org or something like that, because that's what may be lost in time. Well, I could say, here's a stack of magazines from back in the day. I just hope that we don't lose that kind of concept.
Might I suggest that going forward, they call themselves postpcworld.com? I just wanted to suggest it.
Why? Because of the power on self-test, right? I'm sorry, those are my Tom jokes.
Oh, thank you for bringing the Tom jokes to Friday. It wouldn't have been right without it. Finally, let's quickly finish up with a little news. Good news for Windows Phone. We've got some social networks that are also in vogue right now that are coming to the platform. Path, private social network, 150 friend limit coming to Windows Phone. The company says, we've worked closely with the team at Nokia to build Path for Windows Phone with a special focus on that new Nokia Lumia 1020 device. We talked about it yesterday. It's got the 41 megapixel camera. No launch date yet, but Path says we're committed. Hipstamatic also coming to Windows Phone 8 exclusively for the Lumia 1020. Already has Hipstamatic social network Ogle on Windows Phone. I've reviewed it for i5, the iOS version. It's great. Twitter-owned Vine will be coming to Windows Phone 8. It just came to Android last month, so it's pretty impressive considering that now there will be on the major three mobile OSs. And Flipboard also coming to Windows Phone. No dates have been specified either, but company says it's happening. I don't know. I mean, I guess I can say where the heck is Instagram in this list, but all in all, pretty good. It's a good showing for Windows Phone. I mean, that's one of the complaints that everyone has is, hey, the hardware's great, software looks nice, where are all the apps?
Yeah, and now you're getting a lot of apps that some people really like, and I guess I love Path. I watch with rapt attention Sarah Lane's activity.
Last night I had some dessert, but you already know that, don't you?
I certainly do. So now people with Windows phones can have that experience. But as much as Vine and Flipboard and Hipstamatic are burgeoning, they have communities that are well worth participating in, it isn't the heavyweight. Instagram is yet to be there, and Windows 8 will, every day that goes by, continue to cement its reputation as the place where you don't have the cool things that everybody else has.
Mm-hmm.
This all sounds very familiar to me. I feel like we were having this conversation when Android started.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same conversation, right? Platform launches, of course, is not going to have the apps right out of the gate compared to the other platforms that have been around for years. I don't know. I think it'll get there. It's just a matter of time. And when the big boys, like some of the big boys, come along and start to make their apps, that gives all the other developers more of a reason to consider it.
Well, I mean, just yesterday I was saying, wow, that Lumia 1020 sure looks great, and it would be really attractive to people who take photography a little bit more seriously. But then again, you want all of these ways to share with the world that photography has kind of become synonymous with. Vine, for example. Well, if all of those apps are on the platform, then all of a sudden it's like, well, what is the limitation here? I really like this phone. It's awesome. Or you get closer to that conclusion anyway.
So you feel like is not having Instagram holding back Windows Phone 8?
No.
Well, less and less now as it gets other apps, I would say.
So let's say you are somebody in the market for a smartphone, and you are weighing the pros and cons. Among them for like Windows 8 is price and what you like about the user interface, and you were looking at all three of them. For a lot of people, Instagram is a dominant way to communicate. For a youth market,
It's a necessity.
it is how I added. It was once described to me as Twitter for illiterates, and I don't know if that is necessarily fair. But it is certainly a way that you can communicate without using words. And that is something that I think is very powerful. And if it is not there on Windows Phone, it would decrease somebody's ability to make that decision.
Well, so what you're saying, if I understand correctly, is if you buy Windows Phone, you may, in fact, be illiterate.
I'm saying yes.
Somebody should just...
No. You have to be illiterate because there is no Instagram. I'm saying the Windows 8...
Whoa, you're saying they're the smarter people.
They're the smarter people because they gotta type.
They're
or
like,
they can just make their
This
vines.
is a challenge,
Their 6-second...
this whole smartphone thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm saying it's all coming. I agree with Jason. The more that Windows 8 stays in the game and continues to be a part of just the smartphone ecosystem, the more everything will eventually migrate there. Forget the haters. Because somebody loves you.
Yeah,
Windows
if
8.
I was Microsoft, and looking at my Windows 8 mobile app ecosystem, I'd be looking at the NSA and be like, guys, come on, hire some of these developers, right? Mike Krieger, Kevin Storm, get them to port Instagram already.
All right, before this gets any crazier, let's move on to the randomizer. We were going to talk about Daft Punk action figures before the show. We all went, yeah,
but they
okay,
didn't have Kung Fu grip, so we had to drop it.
Yeah, we actually, something else came about while we were on the show. A real-world Terminator named Atlas. The heck?
Yeah.
Atlas weighs it's huge. 6 feet, 2 inches, 330 pounds.
It's a big guy.
28 hydraulically actuated joints.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, we've got video, too.
He's got
Hold on to your
LiDAR.
butts. What is LiDAR again?
That's the, radar, but it's
Okay, the LiDAR. It's fancy radar. LiDAR and stereo vision. Okay, so two independent eyes.
LiDAR gives autonomous vehicles their detection and ranging.
Oh, yes. Okay, so he's, doesn't have to run into the robot next to him.
Radar with lasers. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. He doesn't look that big in this video. I guess you got to put him next to a person.
Well,
Are you crazy?
Here's the thing.
Stomp you.
He's actually
Is
like the Tin Man currently because he doesn't have a brain. It's actually part of a DARPA challenge.
All right.
Yeah, what
and
is...
more than a dozen universities are competing on this DARPA robotics challenge to see if they can actually, build the best brains for Atlas. And they're going to win $2 million if they can, put some software on that thing.
So what we're watching now in the video for the audio listeners, this humanoid robot is walking forward, and they were throwing planks in front of it to see if it would sidestep it and continue to walk forward, much in the way that Arnold Schwarzenegger or the other Terminators would continue to steadfastly make their way to their target. It is really the successor, if anybody is familiar with these similar kind of robotics where they had it, but with like a deer model, and it would they actually
love that guy.
Big dog.
Big dog, yeah, and then they put it out into the woods, and it would negotiate kind of rough terrain and stuff like that. This is the next step there, but I mean, this is like. You look at this, and this. All right, now we're looking at Big Dog here. Yeah. But I mean, this is the future of warfare, right?
No. They're saying this is initially conceived to be for disaster recovery.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. That robot is a foot taller than me.
Give it a Skynet.
3 times my weight. That's frightening.
Which means it could bring you a tasty beverage. Could you just imagine?
Or
it
just fall on me, and that would be the end of it all.
Yeah,
Step on you.
You know?
Sidestep
these are
you easily.
students.
What if that's somewhere in a DARPA room, they're drawing up war plans? It's like, all right, so we send 300 of them, and they fall on the enemy, and we'll pick them up
What
later.
are you going to do?
Well, they're not firing bullets. It's okay.
All right, let's see what's on the calendar. Monday, July 15th, that's next Monday, is the last day to export Google Reader data. Google Reader is no longer, but you still have the weekend to get your data off of it if for some reason you haven't been listening to us over the last few months and haven't done that yet. Also, Monday the 15th is the same day that Yahoo is shutting off accounts that have been inactive for 12 months or more. So for any reason, you're like, I've got this account, I never use it. It might be time to, just go check it out unless you want Yahoo to shut you off. Google will shut down Alfred, the local recommendations app, on July 19th. I I'd forgotten about Alfred.
Size of a tangerine.
Yes, and leaked Verizon documents are pointing to an August 1st release for the HTC One and an August 23rd release for the Moto X phone. All right, before we wrap up the show, we want to check in with Len, who's been dutifully drawing our crazy discussions on this show. Len, you've been so quiet. I hope you've been enjoying everything. Let's see what you got.
Oh, yes. Starting back with story number 1 here in the second part, a little bit of an editorial cartoon feel here, MSA and Microsoft. Microsoft sharing deep, dark secrets with the NSA, and I kind of made them a little bit creepy there, both of them. Even they have like little claws and stuff like that, which I thought was
Len, you can say that. A little creepy.
a little bit creepy, and I tried to be a little bit creepy with that. Story 2, the Surface. A little gentleman here saying, anyone want this super cool Surface tablet? Anyone? Bueller? Of course, no one really digs it. So, Google and Apple. It's kind of interesting here. I didn't know if I wanted to have Tim Cook hugging someone from Google. So it's sort of like, like a pretty girl kind of being accosted by a weird Google guy. Bitcoins, once again, Bitcoins. I'm running out of stuff for Bitcoins.
Just keep doing this.
Here's a creepy Mario who is, he's kind of like, that's every time I
Len,
think
what's
of
going on?
Bitcoins.
Why are all these people so creepy? Something happening. You can talk to me. You know that, right?
Something with the bit. I don't, just the first thing I think of when I think of Bitcoins, I think of Mario, just because it's that kind of him jumping around, grabbing things out of the sky.
Hey, it's me, Mario. Who wants a
You get your
Bitcoin?
Bitcoins here. All right. Story number 5, PC World. Going all digital. This is a gentleman just saying, I'm going to miss reading PC World on my favorite device. Of course, he's a little bit farther out there than we'd like to be.
Holding his old CRT monitor.
Exactly. And finally, Instagram, sad little Instagram, not invited to the party.
Everyone's at the Windows Phone party.
Instagram.
He needs a tile. Someone give him a tile.
He's crying.
Yes, there's got to have something. Something's got to happen. There's got to be action taken about this. So,
but his tears are in such beautiful filters.
Yes. Always X Pro.
Len, this is great. I've really started looking forward to this. The Friday
That
wrap-up.
crying Instagram is I'm actually sad.
I
I'm made
feel bad for
sad
the
by the
Instagram.
depressed Instagram.
Someone should send that to Microsoft.
$1 billion. Just remember that. And it becomes a lot less sad for all involved.
Sure.
True.
Len, thanks so much for becoming a regular on Fridays and your great work. Tell people where they can find artwork like this and other stuff from you online.
sure thing. They can follow me at Twitter. That's where all my information is, kind of like an information dump, at Len Peralta on Twitter. And you'll also find out I'm trying to reboot my original podcast, Jawbone Radio. Just kicked off the Kickstarter today. Go check out the information there, and you can help me get back into podcasting. Jawbone Radio Season 10. There it is. Yes, Season X, I should say. So go ahead. Season X. Yeah, just...
Awesome.
Yeah, everybody go support that. I didn't know about that. I'm going to go
that's good stuff.
back that immediately.
I'm there.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Len, for being here. Justin Robert Young, thanks so much for also joining us in person, no less.
I know. Reunited. Me, you, and Darren. Finally.
Right, finally.
about
the old
time.
gang is back together.
Ever since the incident at the island.
We don't talk about that.
Oh, that's sorry.
Tell people where, besides NSFW, of course, on the Twit Network, where they can find your illustrious work online.
All right. Always on Twitter, at Justin R. Young. But if you enjoy the NSFW show, me and Brian Brushwood have also done a couple comedy albums, Night Attack 1 and Night Attack 2, Enjoy the Garden. But we just recorded at Scott Johnson's Nerdtacular event a live album. So Night Attack, live from Utah, will be out in the next month or so. You can find out not only when that will be, but also get some exclusive content if you go to nsfwshow.com/album. Scroll down to the bottom, get on the mailing list. You'll be able to get all the fun stuff.
Can they buy it in Bitcoin?
I don't know. Maybe. Only if they give me their social security number first.
You can buy it in their privacy.
Exactly. If you set up a webcam in your room, you can have it for free.
And of course, Darren Kitchen with us in person on Friday. You've been hacking across the I-5, as you said, which is, north-south highway.
I'm going east.
Okay.
I'm going out to Nevada for DEF CON. I'll be in Vegas. So, July 27th through August forever. I will be in Vegas and then Montana, Helena, representing, and then all over. So hackacrossamerica.com for that. And a new episode of Hack 5 just posted, youtube.com/hack5. Check it out. We're checking out, electric skateboards, the Living Computer Museum in Seattle. Shannon's got a 3D printer going on, so it should be really fun. And I have a sketch from 2006, a vintage Hack 5 sketch about the NSA that's timely.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, everybody go check that out. Thanks, guys, again for helping me get through the show. Thanks to all of you who submitted stories to our subreddit. technewstoday.reddit.com is where you can go to submit stories or vote stories up or down, stuff that you want us to talk about. Of course, if you've got feedback for us, you can write us at
twit.tv.
Not Tech TV. That was a long time ago, Sarah, now. Almost got through the show. TNT at twit.tv. 260-TNT show is our voicemail. We will be back on Monday with me, Tom, Ayaz, and guest Simon Dingle. Have a great weekend, everybody. Woo!
Nailed it.
Yes.
Nailed it.